Welcome back to Collectability. We are about to embark on a very short journey back in time into the world of Chronometro Gondolo and the retailer Gondolo and Laborio. Who was Gondolo and what was Gondolo, you may ask? Gondolo was the powerhouse retailer of the early 20th century. To put it into scope, looking at the first 25 years of the 20th century, over 1/3 of Patek Philippe's entire production was sent to Gondolo. The Chronometro Gondolo and Laborio is a retailer based in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and they owned the South American market. And over the next few minutes, we're going to discuss why and look at some beautiful watches and the breadth of production that was made for this important retailer. Now, going back into the history of Patek Philippe, many think Tiffany & Company was one of the most important retailers. That's true, but there was someone much bigger, and that was Gondolo. The reason why is they cornered the market and had a voracious appetite and some very creative marketing approaches to sell relatively high volume of watches. And in the early 20th century, their trademark watch, known as, it was patented as, the Chronometro Gondolo, was born. Now, here in front of us, I have a multitude of different sizes and styles of Chronometro Gondolo watches. From this smallest piece, which is a 12-line, 32 millimeter watch, all the way up to this massive chronograph, which has a 20-line movement. Just in terms of size, when I'm using the term line, or I should say lean, that is the diameter. It's the watchmaker term used for the diameter of watches. So this being a 12 lean all the way up to a 20 lean. The highest and largest size that Patek Philippe made was 21 lean for Chronometro Gondolo, as we have in this example closest to me. Now, in 1902, Patek registered the name Chronometro Gondolo, and that's when this famous style was born. But what makes a Chronometro Gondolo a Chronometro Gondolo? That is the movement and some very specific requirements that Gondolo had for their friends in Geneva. So I'm going to open these up so I could show you the movements, and we're going to discuss what these Gondolo movements had that made them so special and unique. Now, as I'm opening these, we'll talk about the first thing that jumps out, and that is the gold wheel train. The only watches in the 20th century that were made with 9-karat gold trains by Patek Philippe were made for Chronometro Gondolo. That was their trademark. So all of the wheels, the transmission of the power from the mainspring to the escapement, it's done with 9-karat gold, hand-finished wheels, which is quite interesting. The next thing that makes a gondolo in the list of requirements are the wolf's teeth winding system. And you'll notice these teeth and these wheels look, especially when you look closely, you can see them as I'm winding it, are shaped like very sharp shark teeth, in this case, wolf's teeth. And a wolf teeth winding system is a quality sign and very desirable by the marketplace. The next thing you'll notice that all of these watches have, which was not normal in Patek Philippe production, was on the mainspring, you'll notice that it has this center arbor that's square. And it's whether it's the tiniest little, the tiniest pocket watch to the largest size, they all have that same system. And that's essentially that square arbor is so that a watchmaker can let down the mainspring rather easily. And this was a requirement from the watchmakers for Chronometro Gondolo. Two other things to notice are the adjustment system for the escapement. You'll see that this has a cam wheel regulation system with a swan neck. This is a very fine precision way of regulating a watch, and it's very aesthetically beautiful. And this was important for Gondolo. They wanted to have movements that really spoke to their clientele who appreciated fine watchmaking. So not only are these technically brilliant, they also have some traditional workmanship that is important to note. First, look at the cuvette. How they're each of the dust covers are hand engraved with the same thing. In Portuguese, it says made especially for Gondolo and Laborio. And then it has Cronometro Gondolo written on the top of each cuvette, and then the movement number very proudly next to Patek Philippe and company. The genius of Gondolo, we could talk about the watches, we could talk about the artistry, but the one thing that comes to mind, and this picture to my left says it all, is the genius of marketing. The marketing genius of Cronometro Gondolo was all about the Patek Philippe collecting clubs. And you could even see this gentleman's hat. Looks like a sombrero, even though technically it's not a sombrero, where it says how it's the Patek Philippe club that they belong to. And here we have a picnic event that they had with their menu, sitting by the water, celebrating all things horological. And these gentlemen were indeed lucky because each of them were part of the Patek Philippe club system. What is that, you may ask? It was a genius marketing device. To be part of one of these clubs, it was 180, mostly gentlemen at the time, would be part of each club. You would have to buy one of these watches. You'd have to commit contractually and legally to make 79 payments to pay for that watch. You would be given a number, issued number 1 through 180 for each member of the club. And for every week, for these 79 weekly drawings, a name was drawn out. A name was drawn from the hat. If you were number 32, then you would not have to pay any more payments for the rest of the whole plan system. So if it was week 4 and you paid your 10 Swiss franc equivalent per week, and you paid 40 Swiss francs total, and your name came out of the hat, then you did not have to pay any more money for your watch. At the end of it, 79 weeks later, everyone in the group had their 79 payments in for 790 Swiss francs. And the gentleman whose name came out of the hat was able to get a full refund for his watch. Now, the remaining 101 people in the system that did not have their name drawn out of the hat, you ended up paying full retail. You paid the 790 Swiss francs for your watch. So this was a genius way where everybody was part of a community because you would go to these weekly events to draw from the hat. You would be part of society, South American society, be part of the Cronometro Gondolo gang. And this social network was kind of the beginnings of this Patek Philippe-centered universe where people truly believed if you owned a Patek Philippe, you were part of a club. The 2 gondolas I have closest to me here are also quite exciting because they have their original boxes. And there's one here in particular that I'm thrilled to show you because it has the rare 24-hour dial. Now, the rest of these have the Roman numerals, the classical dial that say Cronometro Gondolo around the sub-seconds. But here we have one that has 24 hours. And this is like the beginning of the world of travelers, where it was important to know what time it was around the world. Not quite a world time system, but you were able to tell the time using the 24-hour system rather than 12 hours. Inside the watch, it's the same system, same engraving that you would see on the rest of the gondolas. But these 24-hour dials are quite rare, and to have a mint one is quite exciting for us here at Collectability. So, in short, the Gondolo gang helped reinvent and spark Patek Philippe during some very difficult years in the early 20th century. And they literally own the market together with North America and South America controlled 70% or sold 70% of Patek Philippe's entire production. It shows how important the Americas were. So I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe so that you can see more content in the future. And remember, the next Gondola Gang party, you're invited.